In every war since Vietnam, one thing has remained unchanged: air dominance. And it isn't just won with jets, it's fought low and dirty at treetop level, where mud, shrapnel, and seconds decide everything, and this is where countries bring out their very best fighters on air. On one side, there is the American AH-64 Apache, a cold, precise executioner forged through decades of battlefield upgrades. On the other hand, is Russia's Kamov KA-52 Alligator, an agile, savage, and a machine that has been increasingly battered in Ukraine's unforgiving skies. These two machines are kings in their own right, but which one is the better warrior? Now this isn't a regular clash of machines, it's a duel between doctrines, between ideologies of combat. And right now, the duel is playing out in real time, over forests, trenches, and missile-streaked skies. The AH-64 Apache was born in a fever pitch of the Cold War, a time when the US military feared swarms of Soviet tanks charging through the Fulda Gap in Germany. It was developed under the Advanced Attack Helicopter Program, and you would have thought Apache wasn't just another gunship, it was a new breed. Introduced officially in 1986, it immediately found purpose, launching its legacy in the deserts of Iraq during Operation Desert Storm, where it spearheaded the opening assault of the war. From Kosovo to Afghanistan, from Syria to the Indian border, the Apache evolved, transforming into the AH-64D Longbow and the AH-64E Guardian. With every iteration, it became deadlier, smarter, and more connected to the digital battlefield around it. Meanwhile, in the vast stretches of Russian design halls, a different idea took root, one not based on replication, but reinvention. The Kamov KA-52 Alligator emerged from the shell of the Ka-50, transforming a single-seat strike helicopter into a dual-pilot Predator, designed for both assault and reconnaissance. You see, the Apache drew strength from NATO doctrine and networked warfare, while the Ka-52, on the other hand, was engineered for resilience, speed, and self-reliance, capable of operating from smaller forward bases and even ships. One was forged in doctrine and partnerships. The other was built in a world of resourcefulness and battlefield improvisation. They were born from different wars, but to understand how they kill, you need to understand how they were built. In war, design is doctrine. In the West, the Apache was designed as an extension of the pilot's senses, a machine that could think, track, and strike with near-surgical accuracy, long before its enemy even knew it was being hunted. With advanced avionics fused into every panel, the Apache is a flying command center. Its longbow radar, perched high above the rotors like a watchful eye, can detect, prioritize, and mark multiple targets even when concealed behind terrain. And in addition, it was created around the principle of information dominance. It does not react, it anticipates. The Apache moves like a fist drawn back, long, menacing, and focused. Every inch of its frame serves a single purpose: to survive a firefight and return home. Its long nose, housing the fire control radar, juts out like a sniper's scope, and its tandem seating keeps the pilot and gunner in tight vertical alignment, minimizing the aircraft's frontal profile in the threat zone. Its rotor system is wide and stable, designed for hard landings and brutal insertions. A gunship that doesn't need finesse because it was made to punch through. Meanwhile, the Ka-52 isn't here to punch, it's here to dance. Built with the Kamov's iconic coaxial rotor system, the Alligator doesn't need a tail rotor, allowing it to pivot, spin, and sidestep with a kind of aerial flexibility most gunships can only dream of. Its fuselage is compact, with two pilots seated side by side, a rare choice in attack helicopter design. The layout enhances coordination between pilot and weapons officer, particularly in fast, chaotic operations like urban strikes or battlefield recon. And if things go bad, the Ka-52 is the only gunship on Earth with ejection seats, a last resort escape plan in a machine meant to outfly death. Where the Apache trusts its sensors and software to outthink the battlefield, the Ka-52 trusts its armor, agility, and the aggression of its crew. Basically, one gunship is built to endure the worst. The other is built never to be caught in it. In the end, it boils down to strength versus agility, the eternal trade-off of battlefield design. And speaking of design, it defines the body, but firepower defines the soul. And when these machines lock onto their target, it's not about who sees first, it's about who strikes last. But combat isn't just about how you're built, it's about how you fight when the sky turns hostile. You know, a gunship is only as powerful as the fire it can bring, and in this arena, both the Apache and the Alligator came like flying arsenals from two different worlds. The Apache doesn't carry weapons, it hunts with them. The American side wields the AGM-114 Hellfire, a name that has become synonymous with precision annihilation. These laser-guided missiles can hit moving armor over 8 kilometers away, guided by the pilot's helmet, a radar, or drone-fed targeting, meaning the Apache can kill before ever being seen. And let's not forget about the 30mm M230 chain gun, mounted beneath the fuselage, which allows the pilot to look wherever they want, thanks to the helmet-integrated targeting system that feels more like science fiction than battlefield tech. And that is not all. Add in Hydra 70 rockets, over 70 of them, and Stinger or AIM-92 missiles for air-to-air combat, and what you get is a flying fortress that can destroy armor, soft targets, drones, and enemy helis before they even know it's there. The KA-52 doesn't shy from range either. Its Lemur, or Isdalai 305, is a new breed, a real-time TV-guided missile that can be manually piloted toward the target after launch. Aside from that, the 2A-42 30mm autocannon mounted on the side delivers rawer recoil, but fires explosive and armor-piercing rounds with dual-feed capacity. Think of it less as a sniper's rifle and more as a battlefield shotgun. But it's not just about what hits hardest, it's how the firepower is delivered. The Apache's 30mm M230 chain gun is slave to the pilot's line of sight. Wherever they look, the gun follows. It's a seamless connection between man and machine. Thought becomes targeting. Meanwhile, the KA-52 mounts a 30mm 2A-42 autocannon, the same brutal weapon found on Russia's BMP infantry fighting vehicles. Less precise than its American rival, but devastating in volume and raw impact. And when it comes to air-to-air threats, both helicopters have claws. The Apache's optional Stinger missiles provide a self-defense buffer, but it rarely plays offense in the sky. The KA-52, on the other hand, was built with air combat in mind, with radar and infrared-guided missiles designed to hunt drones and helicopters mid-air. Yet even the best weapon means nothing if it can't survive the fight. The Apache's AN/ALQ-136 radar jammer and advanced countermeasure suite are the product of decades of combat refinement. The KA-52's VITEP system boasts flare dispensers, laser warning receivers, and even automatic jamming routines, but Ukraine's battlefield has tested it brutally. Dozens of Alligators have been shot down since the invasion began, by shoulder-fired missiles, drone strikes, and even artillery. And yet, both machines keep flying. And as far as rockets go, the KA-52 carries the S-8 and the larger S-13, meaning it can flatten infantry positions or rip into hardened bunkers. And if the war moves toward the sea, it's armed with the KH-25 and KH-35 missiles, giving it an anti-ship bite the Apache never needed but might envy. But in the end, a gunship's worth isn't measured by what's bolted on its wings, but it's how much destruction it can deal and how much it can take. Combat reveals what manuals can't. In war, every system is tested, not in theory, but in blood. And in this unforgiving crucible, the Apache has seen more war zones than any other attack helicopter alive. From the blazing skies of Desert Storm to the tight alleys of Baghdad, to the poppy fields of Helmand in Afghanistan, the Apache has clocked thousands of flight hours in active combat. Its pilots speak of the machine that takes damage and still brings them home. In Iraq, one Apache reportedly returned to base with nearly 30 hits from ground fire, its system still online, rotors still turning. In Afghanistan, it became the eye in the sky for troops in valleys where comms failed and Taliban RPGs hunted the skies. But while the Apache forged its legacy in the deserts of the Middle East, the KA-52 found its trial by fire in the snows and chaos of Ukraine. Russia's invasion of Ukraine saw KA-52s unleashed in large numbers, at first with overwhelming force, sweeping into Kyiv's outskirts, supporting airborne troops at Hostomel Airport. But Ukraine wasn't Iraq. The defenders had mobile air defenses, manned portable launchers, and FPV drones flown by kids in abandoned buildings. And the KA-52, fast, aggressive, and highly visible, began falling from the sky. According to Oryx and other open-source trackers, at least 50 confirmed KA-52s have been lost, nearly half of Russia's fleet at the war's outset, sometimes to drones, sometimes to cheap, heat-seeking missiles. In response, KA-52 crews changed tactics. No more close support, no more hovering. Instead, they launched indirect, lofted salvos from behind tree limbs, popping up just long enough to unleash unguided rockets into the fog. A tactic born from desperation and survivability. Meanwhile, the Apache's tactics haven't changed much over the years because they haven't had to. When a system works across multiple continents, across 3 decades of wars, you don't fix what isn't broken. In a world where a $2,000 drone can kill a $16 million helicopter, survival doesn't start with firepower, it starts with tech. The AH-64 Apache's brain is its TADS/PNVS, the Target Acquisition and Designation System, coupled with pilot night vision. It operates in thermal, laser, and night vision modes. It tracks moving targets from miles away. It guides Hellfire missiles onto tanks hidden under tree canopies. And it does all this with near-surgical accuracy. Compare that to the KA-52's GOES 451 system, which despite being technically advanced, has shown its flaws in the chaos of Ukraine. In one now infamous clip, KA-52 pilots mistook John Deere harvesters for Leopard tanks. Its electro-optics couldn't distinguish between armor and agriculture. In war, those are the kinds of mistakes that'll kill soldiers or civilians. The Apache, by contrast, integrates with battlefield networks. It can receive targeting info from satellites, UAVs, and ground forces in real time. But what about protection? The KA-52 boasts something almost no other chopper on Earth has: an ejection seat. Sounds impressive in theory, but in practice? Most ejected crews in Ukraine haven't survived. The system is complex, brutal, and when it fails catastrophically. On defense, the Apache relies on the AN/ALQ-144 IR jammer, nicknamed Disco Light, as well as radar warning receivers, chaff, and flare dispensers, and missile approach sensors. The KA-52 uses the Vitebsk L370 suite, a modern EW system designed to jam infrared and radar-guided threats. It should work. But Ukraine's troops have shot down KA-52s with everything from Stingers to FPV drones. The tech is there, but battlefield results say something's not connecting. Meanwhile, the Apache keeps returning home, even when damaged, even when outnumbered, because survivability isn't just about what's on paper. It's about what survives fire, fragmentation, system failure, and still flies. Machines may define war, but it's still human hands on the stick. And when it comes to flying these mechanical monsters, the Apache and the KA-52 tell two different stories. The Apache's cockpit is a cramped nerve center, two pilots in tandem, front and back. The gunner sits up front, the pilot above and behind. It's tight, even claustrophobic, but everything's where it needs to be, designed for modular use, rapid reaction, and high G-forces. The KA-52, by contrast, is side-by-side, a rare configuration in the attack chopper world. Some pilots love the visibility, others say the extra width makes it a bigger target. But for coordination, being able to look your co-pilot in the eye, that's invaluable in chaos. But then there's the question of training. Apache pilots go through months of flight school, including simulator hours, night flight certs, and close air support doctrine drills. NATO pilots fly with layered battlefield awareness. They're not just shooters, they're networked warriors. Meanwhile, KA-52 pilots are also rigorously trained, but often within a rigid, doctrine-heavy system. And when the war doesn't follow doctrine, when drone swarms or stingers pop up from hedgerows, flexibility matters. What's it feel like to fly them? Apache veterans describe it as riding a controlled explosion. Every input is a decision. Every second is a calculation. Russian pilots, meanwhile, call the KA-52 the beast with two minds. Power is shared, but sometimes that means confusion in high-pressure stakes. And when things go wrong, in an Apache crash, survivability is drilled in. The airframe is reinforced, the seats absorb impact, and the rotors shear off on hard landings to save the crew. In the KA-52, you pull the handle, the rotors detonate off, you pray the seat rockets work, but in Ukraine, those prayers often go unanswered. The battlefield isn't the only place where gunships face off. There's another front, quieter, but just as strategic, the global export market. The Apache dominates the skies and the spreadsheets. Over a dozen countries fly variants of the AH-64, from Israel to Japan, India to the UK. Why? Because when militaries buy helicopters, they're not just buying machines, they're buying trust. The Apache offers a deep support ecosystem, parts, training, upgrades, and battlefield-tested logistics claims. When a nation signs on for an Apache, they plug into decades of combat refinement. But the KA-52 is a harder sell. Only one country outside Russia flies it: Egypt. And even that deal came with caveats: training lags, language barriers, and spare part shortages. Moscow's war in Ukraine didn't help. Video after video of burning KA-52s downed in wheat fields haven't exactly inspired confidence in global buyers. And sanctions? They choke the lifeline. Even allies hesitate when supply chains risk collapse. But there's one more layer: soft power. Owning an Apache aligns you with the US and its partners. Owning a KA-52 signals alignment with a more isolated Russia. That matters when wars and alliances are broadcast in real time. The Kamov KA-52 and the AH-64 Apache aren't just attack helicopters, they're philosophies with rotors. It is a battle between the East and the West. The Apache favors precision, durability, and overwhelming coordination. It was forged in decades of joint operations, polished in every conflict since the Cold War. Its legacy is long, and its reliability has been proven, and the KA-52, on the other hand, is brutal, agile, and experimental. Built to punch hard and fast, even if it bleeds in the process. The Alligator offers daring design, coaxial rotors, ejection seats, TV-guided standoff missiles, a flying lab of Russian audacity, but it pays the price. Vulnerable sensors, questionable survivability, and a war in Ukraine that exposed every weak seam. So, who wins? In raw numbers, in combat longevity, in export domination, the Apache holds the crown. But war isn't always fair. Sometimes, a KA-52 darts out of a fog, missiles hissing, and reminds the world you don't need to be perfect to be dangerous. Simply put, one survives by systems, while the other by risk. Now it is your turn. Which do you think comes out on top in a battle? If this deep dive gave you a new perspective on gunship war, share it with your crew and subscribe for more cinematic breakdowns, because we're just getting started. Follow Project Aerospace to keep up with the latest in defense and aviation. The next breakthrough is already on the radar.